up. Talk trash, better back it up. I'ma make my money while they laugh at us.
What is going on, guys? You're tuning into Inventing Entrepreneurs, a show where we bring on emerging entrepreneurs to talk about them inventing their vision of success. I'm your host at Brian Events, joined by my co-host John.
Pleasure, guys. Welcome back. Episode 9. We're in the studio today with Miss Monica Sokolovsky. She is the founder and CEO of HueTrition, creator of Hue Pets, and founder of the, what we call Hue Movement, huh?
The Hue Movement. Hi, Brian, John.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure.
Thanks for coming out.
So, guess start off, for our listeners, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, things like that.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to try to shorten it. I am a long life athlete. I played tennis all my life, and that really brings it to life in what I'm doing right now, come full circle. Ever since I was 11, I played tennis on a very serious basis. Then I played in professional tournaments. So I had the opportunity to go travel abroad and get to know a lot of different people from different backgrounds, which really has helped me throughout my career. And then from then, I wanted to be a professional tennis player. I took a year off. My parents were kind enough to send me to Florida and go play just full time around 15, 16. And then I came back and finished school. I decided I'm going to go back to school, get a full scholarship. So I went to Texas A&M on a full ride, which was great. Everything paid for, but it made me work a lot. And it taught me a lot of discipline, a lot of project time management. And then from there, I went into biomedical kind of field, which was nutritional science. I thought I wanted to be a doctor then. Right. And then I decided through there, I had the biomedical curriculum, but I didn't want to see blood. So I went into nutritional science.
Nobody likes seeing blood.
Exactly.
No.
So I was like, I like the whole science, but I don't like to see blood. And I went to do nutrition. And then from there, I decided I wanted to be in the food industry. So from there, before I went into the food industry, I took a job that taught me a lot that is very relevant to what I'm doing today, which is I had the opportunity right off of school to go into this big job of being the child nutrition supervisor for 9 elementary campuses in Texas. And as you can imagine, just right out of college, having 150 plus people under you with responsibility of bidding and dealing with vendors, making sure the menu was, up to par in 9 schools, and having to see and deal with inventory and going around all the campuses and seeing the kids, what they're eating, not eating, and seeing that there was a lot of opportunity for education in terms of eating right and eating your fruits and vegetables, and a lot of waste. There was access, but there was also the waste factor. From there, I was like, I really like the mission of feeding kids, but I was like, I want to be in brand management. Brand management really sounded good to me. And I went to get my MBA because I wanted to, get the business. I had all the science, but I had to get the business. I had to, in a way, get that under my belt. And then from there, I started my career in food. I took a detour before I went into the food journey that I've had. I went into my PhD in marketing. I got a fellowship for that. And it taught me a lot in terms of consumer behavior. So it was the extra that has helped me full circle. I get the health and wellness, but then I also get the technical side of how people behave. It was probably, if you were to ask me, the hardest classes that I ever took were in the PhD program. It was like marketing models, advanced math. It's not like the fluffy, that you would expect, but it taught me a lot in terms of consumer behavior, and it gave me that edge to round up the technical with the marketing. And then
was this all in Texas?
It was in Texas A&M. I bleed
maroon. Stayed there the whole thing. Okay.
Yes. Gig and
Make sure you reach out to our Texas fan base then. All right, we're gonna try to grow to Texas.
Aggies for sure. But from there, I started really the journey in food marketing, and I've been there probably 18 years in a variety of roles, from brand management to customer marketing to global innovation, different companies, major companies. And I got the opportunity to really advance and, get to manage teams, lead teams, but also a lot of different angles of marketing in terms of food. But still, there was the opportunity to really come full circle and really kind of make a dent. So for me, why entrepreneurship is I wanted to make a difference. I tell a lot of people this story. When I was graduating from undergrad, we had this life sciences award for academics and athletics and all this stuff. And there was those inspirational I guess, speeches, and they said, for people that have the capability, it would be really irresponsible in a way not to use it beyond just yourself. So beyond just saying, I'm going to cover my needs and, I'm going to have a great lifestyle. Once you get to a certain point, it's like you have this responsibility to really do a bit more and make a dent.
Bigger than yourself.
And bigger, do something that's bigger than yourself beyond what, assuming obviously that you're taking care of your family, your responsibilities, but that really stuck with me, and that's really why I'm doing what I'm doing. So,
which brings us a good point for our listeners. What are you currently doing?
Exactly. So now I've started my own company, which is called HueTrition, as John mentioned. It's really with the mission of really providing the tools and resources for families to eat healthier in a fun way, interactive way. When I started back, when I was supervising the kids' nutrition, there wasn't as much technology. It was kind of ahead of its time. And now there's so much technology that can make it fun to really eat right and have fun with it and have some educational component to it.
So you're looking to play into a role of like getting into the family's lives and really impacting how they're eating and then making it kind of like you said fun. So kind of elaborate how do you make it fun?
Fun. What I mean by that, if you think of, and I'm going to speak to food, a lot of the food companies have made it really fun and engaging and even cool. There's a lot of cool brands that are not necessarily there's the range of healthiness in there, but they've made it really fun and interactive to connect with, consumers, whether they're younger consumers or mom. They're making you're really loyal to that brand for a reason, which brings me back to the consumer behavior days. Is like it's an emotional connection. That's the reason why I love marketing. Is like you make this emotional connection, which makes you buy something or keep buying it or keep going. I mean, this is emotional at the very heart of it. And so they've done a great job with that with food. And a lot of times it's not necessarily the best food. So I wanted to bring that engagement and that technology element into, hey, let's make it easier. This is why we just launched this program called HuePets, which is aimed probably at families and younger kids. But to really, why is there such advanced gaming and there isn't anything that connects health and wellness to that gaming component, right?
True,
why don't you bring it together and say, hey, you have the technology, we embedded a reward system for the kid. So going back to psychology, we all like rewards. I haven't met any human being that doesn't like rewards and says, no, I don't like free, I don't like rewards.
A pat on the back is
so
good.
just putting that element into it, you're going to do it anyway. I mean, most parents would like their kids to eat right, if they care. And so we just want to make it easier to make that connection with your family. If you're cooking, you are able to use the application, the game-like application, HuePets, to scan your fruits and veggies, to have a conversation, but you're accumulating points. As you accumulate points, then you can get a reward. So the parent can set up some rewards, like it could be a play date, or it could be maybe it's some monetary reward because the system is fully integrated with the Amazon backend. So we just wanted to make it easier, but also fun and interactive, bring that element into having a healthier lifestyle.
And it seems that a lot of the things that you're touching on and the strategies and approaches you're taking really tie in directly to what you've learned in your past experience, your education, things like that. Would you say getting the education going, all that was worth it for you?
It's a
lot of entrepreneurs pull that question.
I think there's some people that have done great things without finishing college. So you can argue that. For me, I think it's come full circle. It's given me the knowledge from a technical perspective, and having been through, I guess, more corporate setups also teaches you to really think big and being able to lead teams and to really know what triggers, how can you launch a project or a product, but at large. So I think that's the benefit of having some years working for somebody. I don't think the journey, everyone is different. Was it worth it? Absolutely. I think for me, having those years of really being able to have the technical background in health and wellness, to have the consumer behavior, to really really, I wouldn't move people. It really has helped me in my career. And now it comes full circle. So it makes me, I guess, it came a time where it was just the right time for me. But it has given me, I guess, the baseline to be able to really scale up I think what happens to a lot of entrepreneurs, and everyone's different, it's one thing to have an idea, but to have an idea and consistently have the discipline to stick to it and launch it and keep running it and managing and grow it and scale it, that's a different thing. That's why you see a lot of times like some entrepreneurs do very well and they have very good ideas. Where they struggle is in kind of coming in, and sometimes they seek help in consulting and things like that, because it's like, how do I really run this business? How do I hire people? How do I do my accounting? And I think
they get to the first roadblock and then they don't figure out how to get over it.
Exactly. Drop off, right?
So I think that's kind of the trade-off. Everyone is different. For me, it's helped me. I think it was kind of like this. I see this studio, which is great, and it makes me think of an incubator. So those years.
Nice. Next step, Inventing Entrepreneurs
it's an incubator. And I actually worked at an incubator, believe it or not, before I graduated from undergrad.
All right,
and
we're going to touch on that. We're going to touch on that. That sounds great.
So it was this entrepreneur in technology at A&M, and he had this incubator with the university. And that's kind of, you get ideas.
What is that like in the incubator? Because I feel like we have a couple here in Buffalo, and my buddy was involved with one, and I went to check one out and stuff like that, but never really get that full grasp of what it's like being in one.
Is it like a lot of networking?
Yeah, you have like a lot of little spaces of ideas. They're not companies per se. They want to be companies. And then you have people, it might be through the university. It might be even students, it might be people that already graduated. But it's, to me, I love innovation. Obviously, I'm an entrepreneur. It's like the flow of ideas, different people, points of view. And, it's just the energy. But it helps you a lot. Like, for example, when I was working there, they had me working on the marketing plan for this software that was going to launch in the food industry for food safety. What I learned from there was a ton, because I had to do this marketing plan and thinking about shares, how they were going to scale up, like sweat equity, how do you do that when you're working, when you're just starting up? You might think, oh my God, well, it doesn't matter. The details don't matter. But they do matter, because it's the people you're bringing in, how you're structuring the company, who gets what. So in that case, they were thinking about what are the shares, who gets what when we scale up. Do we give if this person has equity or not? It was very.
Have you ever read a book called Slicing Pie?
No, I have not.
So for Smart Print, we're part of a program called Launch New York, and we get an interim CEO who kind of helps us out. And when I met with him a few weeks ago, he recommended I read the book Slicing Pie. So I downloaded it on Audible, and I started listening to it. It's
which
about 4 hours
will be
long.
on soon.
What?
Hopefully Audible.
Oh, yeah. No. Well, I started listening to it, and it basically gives different scenarios of how to separate companies, or equity. So anyone that's looking to start something, I would recommend reading that book.
Do you remember who the author is? Slicing Pie?
Definitely will read it.
But it's called Slicing Pie. If you look it up.
Yeah, I'm sure it's pretty popular.
It basically talks about how to it's like a different way to split equity, and you have to earn into equity.
Exactly. That was the whole concept. So some people are going to be investors and they get certain equity, and then some people are going to have to go through some deliverables, and then that's just that. So I think those kinds of things are important to learn through. Not that, I know it all, but, it just kind of helps you to be around it early on. And so it's come full circle in this venture, and even thinking about scaling up. The vision is not just local. So, it depends on what kind of entrepreneur you are too. If your vision is to be local, regional, or is it something that has scale of potential, at large, and then that becomes a little trickier.
Yeah, for sure. Kind of going back, thinking your whole journey so far and being an athlete in the beginning, do you think that ties together? Because I know me, I played sports my whole life also. And I know that's where I got my leadership, my drive, and to win and do well is through sports. You kind of say that's the same kind of thing?
I definitely think so, that it shapes you in a different way. I had the opportunity to meet a lot of different people from different countries, which early on is very important to be able to work with teams and different people. That's one thing, to be able to lead teams and people that are different from you, and being tolerant and understanding that they're different. So that's one thing. But beyond that, I play tennis. So it's a very competitive sport.
Do you have a better forehand or backhand?
My backhand was the killer. Yeah, it was my weapon. But no, I think what it teaches you is persistence. Tennis is very jealous, in quotation, meaning you have to stick to it. It's not like you're going to show up no matter how talented you are. You can't just say, oh, I'm going to go once a week and I expect to play at a high performance level. It just doesn't happen.
Same thing with being an entrepreneur.
Exactly. Exactly the connection to me. And I've even mentioned to some people, is like, it makes me think of my days in tennis where it's like, I play to win. I'm going to play within the etiquette of good sportsmanship.
Right.
However, I'm going to come in and I'm going to play to win. And I'm going to be, my thinking was in tennis is like, I'm going to be so conditioned. I'm going to work so hard that I'm going to be the person that's going to hit one more ball over the net. Right. And that's entrepreneurship. What gets seen is like, what are the keys to success would be persistence. So if you play tennis or any sport, I mean, you have to be persistent. You have to hit so many shots to get good at what you do. And even then you're going to miss shots. But, in the long run, you're going to end up winning more than losing. So it teaches you a lot of, I would say, time management, organization, but persistence is the word that I think I would use because it just, and
it's a lot of like character traits that I found. Like I've hired employees that particularly like played sports their whole lives versus people that didn't, and just like the types of people that they are, like you can tell like they're just structured differently.
I think it just shapes you because you have to have that discipline to be good. If you're going to have a scholarship or if you're going to play at a higher level, you have to have certain discipline. And you're right. One of the things that I was blessed with is that because I was a student athlete, you always got different treatment. So, automatically when you walked into not just high school, but when you went into college, you automatically were in a different situation. You had a full ride. But also, I do know that a lot of employers, at least when I was, back at A&M, they specifically looked at student athletes. And the reason was exactly what you said. Already automatically you've shown that if you can keep a scholarship and you have good grades, because you have to keep certain grades and keep your scholarship and you've succeeded, it's kind of like telling them they can at least be good at time management and have a goal, have focus and time management. And that is key for any job or, entrepreneurship, is being able to focus, devote the time, manage against projects and being able to succeed. And I think that's a trait. And that's why a lot of employers, sometimes they look at it. And so automatically gave you, when you were applying for a job, it gave you that edge of, oh, well, you were a student athlete. So therefore they're, which is nice, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And kind of looking at, you said persistence is a major key. What are some other things that you've seen, in your experiences that you think helped, move you along in the right direction?
I would say I'm big, sounds pretty funny, but I'm big into energy. So I feel like there's so many things that are going to be thrown your way. There's so many people, and I'm sure you've had them on this podcast, but some people are not going to believe in your vision. Some people are going to be negative. Some people are going to be naysayers. Some people, as you're succeeding, whether it's in a job, corporate life, or even entrepreneurship, they're going to try to take you down,
they
right?
Love it.
They're going to try to take you down, and and you have to be kind of strong and just understand and recognize that. At the same time, how do you insulate yourself from negative energy? I would say I believe in being positive, right?
Yeah.
So I do believe that you are your more dominant thoughts. So, the more
Always
positive they are, you try
Right.
to understand. I think part of the key, I think, as you grow into it, is that you have to be able to manage yourself. So you have to understand, be self-aware. I'm having this thought and try to refocus if you're having, there's good days and bad days. We all have them. There's things that don't go as planned. And that's true for entrepreneurship. Something is not going to go as planned.
Right. All the time.
All the time. You might as well just plan for that.
Right. Exactly. Plan for it to go wrong. There you go. Major key.
But how you react to it, it makes all the difference. Right. So you have a couple of choices.
I think it's always good to have a backup plan. So if you have to get to a certain point, think of a few different routes to get there. Take the one that you think is the best. If that
play
fails,
the devil's
go to the
advocate.
next route.
Right.
But always have a backup plan that if this fails, what am I going to do next?
Exactly.
How am I going to get over this roadblock?
I think it's
Otherwise, you'll hit a dead end road.
Right.
Yeah, preparation, and also I call it a little bit like planning for contingencies. I am notorious for saying, okay, if I have to turn something in, I know my timeline and I build some time for those things that are going to go wrong. I did it in corporate. I do it now. It's like I just have to plan for that contingency that something is going to go wrong. But I think the key thing is to manage yourself in a way that no matter what goes on, that you're going to throw this positive energy into it, and that kind of helps you get out. Because I mean,
Right.
entrepreneurship is not for the feeble of heart. It's
Right.
harder
You gotta
than
have some
being
backbone,
corporate.
agreed.
At corporate, even if you have meetings all day, you have the pressure, you might get fired. The thing is not just you, right? It's a corporation. You
Right.
can walk away. When it's your business, it's like
You're
it's
all
your
into
business.
that, you know,
you're
right?
you're invested, and you only have yourself to blame. So it's same thing as tennis. If it's you're playing against somebody else. If you lose, you can't really blame
Anybody, right.
anyone else. So
Which is what a lot of people like to do. So it's huge. And I know we touched on this like one of our first couple episodes. Like as an entrepreneur, we all have to be really self-aware of what we're doing at all the time, and saying like, looking at your decisions, and if you made a wrong decision, not blaming X factors. It's looking at yourself and saying, okay, I screwed up. What am I gonna do to project this forward for the next time?
Yeah.
So how I look at it is humans by nature take the easiest route, right?
Right.
So if you're not consciously thinking about your decisions and what you're doing, you're gonna take the easy route without even knowing it.
Yeah.
So you have to be aware of your decisions and know what the outcome is going to be if you take that decision. So for me, like obviously it's easier for me not to go to the gym than it is to go to the gym.
Right.
So if I don't consciously think I have to go to the gym or this is going to happen, then I'm just not going to go to the gym.
Right. And you're autopilot through life.
Autopilot. And that's how you get into a job you don't want to be in, or get into,
Right.
situations in your life you don't want to be in.
That's very true. I think the positive applies to anything, not just entrepreneurship, but it's like your decisions do impact it's a cumulative effect.
Yeah, and people don't realize that.
People don't realize
They
that.
think that everything should be handed to them. Why don't I have this? Well, because of this.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it's all built on its own. Yeah.
It doesn't that annoys me because a lot of people say like, oh yeah, like I don't know. They think they should be, somewhere else in life. Mm-hmm. They don't realize that they're the reason they're there right now. Like,
right.
They made those decisions that got to that point.
Exactly.
So
yeah. No, it's very true.
definitely
So you have to be self-aware, and you have to just, I think that's part of like whether you're an athlete or an entrepreneur, I think that comes really quickly. Like you do realize that the span between your decision and what happens, I mean, it's really shorter than sometimes if you are not fully responsible, like if you're working for somebody. But
so I've heard a little bit you had some other past ventures and things that are entrepreneurial other than HueTrition. Touch on those briefly, and more so I want to know why you stopped them and moved on to something else, and maybe what are some things that you learned from your past businesses or business ventures.
Well, I mentioned the first one, which was the incubator. It was just, before I graduated, so I moved on because I graduated.
Right.
So that was a great experience, like I mentioned before. I also started my own gym and nutrition consulting right out of business school. I thought I've always been an entrepreneur. I think I was born with it.
Oh yeah.
I think I was in first grade. I was making houses with paper and selling them for $1.
That's awesome,
I always had that mind.
Yeah,
business mind. How can I solve a need? I get some money for it. So I've had that. But I started that gym, and it was great. It was a small business, and you had to run everything, the accounting. You had to be the person training people, counseling. Had a storefront.
You do this all yourself?
Yeah, I did.
And you don't have the gym anymore, right?
I don't. I sold it. That's when I sold it, and I decided to go into the PhD program. But what it taught me was that obviously you have to be able, as an entrepreneur, you need to be able to be flexible to wear many hats, right? That's what a lot of people, sometimes when they start right off, they don't have that problem. But if they come from like a job and they say, well, I'm just in accounting. Well, you're not going to just be in accounting. You're going to be everything. When you're an entrepreneur, you got to be willing to roll up your sleeves and like get into it. So that's one learning there, that you have to be wearing many hats.
So it was a lot more than you expected, right?
It was a lot more, but it also, what it taught me is that I didn't want just a local business. So that's what it taught me.
Yeah, that's good to know, because everybody look at themselves and see what type of business they want to run.
I'm a big
noticed
thinker.
It wasn't really scalable for you.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I was like, I'm not going to be doing. I was training people. I was running the business. I'm like, it got boring in a way for me, because I was like, am I going to be doing this forever, right? Unless I scale up and I do a franchise or something like that. I really like. I enjoy seeing the big. I'm a big thinker, and I enjoy seeing the bigger picture behind just a local aspect, which
And
is
you're
different.
realistic about it, knowing that,
Yeah.
it's been a year, it hasn't really grown.
Yeah, I mean, it was doing fine. I had to do all that, but I'm like, there's more, right? That I
Yeah.
can do
Right.
more.
Especially if you're not fully into it and your day's kind
Yeah,
of getting
I
boring.
was like, okay, I'm ready. I've done it. I get it. It's done fine, but I want to do something more. So that's when I took a different path.
So HueTrition, when did you guys launch this?
We launched in October, formally, of 2017. So it's been an idea probably brewing in my head now, probably close to 8 years. Give or take, I've always been, involved in health and women.
8 years?
8 years, yeah. 8 years in my head.
Right, in your head.
See,
right.
this is an incubator.
And that's good, though, because,
going.
you think about it for so long that, and you run into different situations in your life, and it makes you think back to it, like, oh, maybe I can do this to
Well,
add to
yeah,
it.
exactly. Because see, I had a job and I have different, jobs in corporate, and always off and on, I would work on it. I'll get something done and then go back, and then the technology was in there. I'm like, no, I really should do it, but you can't really do it that way. Like you could do it. I mean, some things you can, but a lot of times, if you really make a decision, I'm going to go full in, and I finally, we're in a position to say, okay, I can do this right now, and I can step out and go fully invest myself. Okay, so investing yourself means all your time, your thinking, your energy, and that's big to make something go if you really want it to go.
And that's a big psychological mind shift also, from going from being task oriented, working for somebody, to saying, well, now this is me, and I'm all in, and I every day need to go to work for but it's really just making things happen to grow the business every day.
The one thing I think it's different is I consider myself I've always been kind of entrepreneur by, I was born like that, but then, entrepreneur, within companies, I've always taken on projects that are really big, trying to make a change, try to impact and move it forward. So you get that. So that's great experience. What happens when you step out is that you really is this is your baby, and now you want to scale up. It's the beauty of being able to see the impact of your decisions quicker. So a lot of times when you work in a big company, and I was used to, had a great experience managing, multi-billion-dollar businesses and sales and people. And it's big business. So you are not able to move as fast as you would like to.
Right.
And that's the difference. So you have a lot of meetings. You have a lot of time that, from my perspective, is wasted. So you're not able to move as fast as you would like. You see where the end game is, but because there's the hierarchy, because there's, a lot of people involved and stakeholders, you're not able to really impact it right away.
Absolutely.
It's a longer haul. And entrepreneurship, in this business, I'm able to really make a decision and go. And hey, if it doesn't do well, then, you got yourself to blame.
Yeah.
So a lot of people listening right now, probably some of them don't know where they want to start with their entrepreneurial career. They know they want to be an entrepreneur, but they don't know what they want to do exactly. So you've obviously had a few different opportunities. Would you say these opportunities, the best ones, came to you naturally? Were you looking for them, or did you kind of just stumble across them? What would you recommend to people that are looking to start something right now?
From my perspective, I think if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you have to love what you do. That's my perspective. Some people might think, oh, hey, there's an opportunity, I can make money. Right. But to really have the passion that it requires to really invest yourself day in, day out, and breathe that business, right? Yeah. You have to, because it's personal at that time. When you're working for somebody, it doesn't have to be personal. But when you get into your own business, it's you. It's your business, right? It's your vision if you're going to be the head of it. And you have to really love it. I mean, I do believe in what I do. And that's important, right? Because you have to be able to really enjoy what you do. So I would say, if you're going to start a business, I would think about, what is your passion? What truly makes you tick? What's going to make you wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to do this? Because otherwise, it might not be the best scenario, right? So, you have to really love what you do. I know you hear that a lot, but I truly, truly believe that, because you're going to be good at it, you're going to enjoy it, and you're going to stick to it, and you're going to be able to really move it forward. So I think you have to look for what's your passion, what makes you really
This is like when you wake up in the morning, what's the first thing you think about? I know there's some mornings where I'm pumped. I wake up before my alarm. I'm just ready to go, and you're like, oh, I have this and this and this, and that's the drive that like people need to wake up to. But then there's some days where you wake up and you're like, all right, shit, this is not good. This is like it's a lame, lazy day, and you gotta kind of snap out of it. But it's finding that motivation. Yeah, you have to find something that you truly love. Like I said, you're gonna have good days, bad days, some days that are just really testing your, Yeah.
Do you have days where you feel like there's a lot going on, and then other days where you feel like there's nothing going on at all?
And you should be doing something. Like you're like, wow, I'm kind of caught up, but like what?
And how do you feel those time blocks? Because I experience that a lot where I'm up and down in certain things, so I feel like there's nothing to do, but I could be doing something.
Right. I'm smiling because no, I don't have those days. I wish I had those days. I don't remember those days. I mean, I have a family, a couple of kids, husband, but I think no, I don't see those days. I mean, I'm pretty filled. Between my, I have many jobs, right? Besides just HueTrition, and arguably they're more important than HueTrition. Yeah. So I think it is just I don't have the work-life balance really, really awesome. It's awesome.
Looking at your family's here for all viewers.
Family's here, yeah. No, it's great. I think one of the things that entrepreneurship does give you, if you do it right, is that you are able to have more flexibility to be able to really spend time.
Did that play a role into your decision at all? That you were like, wow, I get to spend more time, with my family.
I will always favor that. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. It's not like you're going to work less. You're actually going to work more. It's just when you're going to work and how you're going to work. Right. I think that's the difference.
Absolutely.
So where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years?
I see myself that HueTrition has taken off and is really, you can see it in different places, different retail places, that it's a well-known brand that is scaled up. Basically, that's where I see it.
What about for you yourself?
For me, myself.
You plan on sticking here, working with HueTrition? You have other ideas going your ideas?
Yeah, have other projects in the works. I think they are definitely in line with HueTrition.
Right. Because that's your passion. So, of course.
That's my passion. Right. We're working on a product that's in the health and wellness space, an actual product line. So it could marry up to HueTrition. And so that's the project. So
and that's kind of a cool idea because they can play into each other pretty well.
They can play into each other. There's a lot of opportunity. And again, using... it comes all full circle, the technical aspect of nutritional science. I've done a lot of product development for global companies in terms of, snacks and what's the need state. And, we all see it. It's changing. And there's a lot of merging of channels in the food industry. So there's still a lot of opportunity for something that's healthier, cleaner, more convenient for people. So that's kind of the space we're playing on.
So when you do that, we'll bring you back.
That's why I never have a downtime.
Right, exactly.
That's why I never have free time. Yeah.
That's awesome. So for our listeners, do you have any other tips, advice, recommendations, things that have worked for you, things that haven't worked for you maybe, just kind of give them some insight, some help?
I would say believe. I always believe. I choose to be positive no matter what. I said it, but I really, that's kind of, I think, one of the key things. No matter what happens, just believe and think that it's all energy. So, it's how you manage yourself and redirect the energy, right? On a bad day. Right. And on a good day, how do you keep it going? So I would say that, just everything is energy.
Absolutely.
So, where can people find more about your company and about yourself? Are you on social?
Please do go to HueTrition.com. Yeah, you can find it all on HueTrition.com.
Okay.
And
awesome.
HuePets.com as well, but HueTrition.com would be the
place. HuePets is on the App Store also, iOS,
HuePets
Android.
is on the App Store.
It's pretty cool. I played around with it. It's cute. They got cute characters.
Did you get a Hue Master?
Yeah. Again,
have you been good?
Working on it.
Working on it? Did you get your Hue reward?
I had to try it.
Yeah. So you'll have to try it. So to anyone listening, please do try it, download it.
That's right. Let's get this healthy movement going, right?
Absolutely.
I feel like health is big.
It needs to be.
Yeah. It does. All right, guys. Well, have a good rest of your week. We'll catch you next week. See you on Wednesdays.
Thank you, guys.
Money stacking up, talking trash, better back it up. I'ma make my money while they laugh at us.